Hey everybody, how's it going? This is John Breed and it is March 29th, 2019. It is Friday on the show today and we have tons of news, including the preview for the Texas race weekend. We have a triple header coming up. Truck Series is on track again this week, as well as the Xfinity Series. Xfinity is back after a week break since California. And of course we have the Cup race, all coming from the Texas Motor Speedway. But like I mentioned, tons of news to get into here today. We have Greg Biffle to talk about, who is apparently making a comeback. He is going to be running a truck race for Kyle Busch Motorsports. We have that to talk about here today. We have the new qualifying procedures to talk about today, which NASCAR announced a few days ago, as well as what they also announced a few days ago was the 2020 NASCAR schedule. So we will get into that here on the show. First, like I mentioned, I want to talk about Greg Biffle. It was announced yesterday that Greg Biffle is going to be making a comeback in the NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series. He is going to be running a truck race for Kyle Busch Motorsports at the Texas Motor Speedway in June. He is not running this weekend's race, but he actually did take some practice laps yesterday in Kyle Busch's truck, who will be running this Friday night in the Texas race. So far, it's only one race for Greg Biffle, but I can imagine if he runs pretty good, then he will probably get maybe a race or two more. So we'll see. And truth be told, that's a race I think Greg Biffle can win. I mean, he is, granted he has been out of the car and especially a truck for a long time, so only time will tell if he can get that win at Texas, but I think he's going to have a pretty good shot, and hey, if he doesn't, you know what? Those young guys like Todd Gilliland and Harrison Burton, they have him to lean on for advice and things like that, so the way I see it, I think Kyle should put him in a few races this year, so we'll see if he does that. Also about Kyle Busch, news about Kyle Busch, they have renewed his partnership with Interstate Batteries. Joe Gibbs Racing renews partnership with Interstate Batteries. They sent out a team release yesterday stating Joe Gibbs Racing announced today that it has renewed its ongoing partnership with Interstate Batteries in a multi-year agreement that will extend the relationship beyond 30 years. As one of the longest-running sponsorships in professional sports, Interstate Batteries will continue to serve as the official battery of Joe Gibbs Racing and a primary sponsor on the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series number 18 Toyota Camry, driven by Kyle Busch for 6 races. Joe Gibbs said in a statement, "I tell people all the time that one of the great things about professional sports is the relationships you have to develop over the years, and I don't know if there is a better example than what we have with Norm Miller and everyone there at Interstate Batteries." So that is the update on Joe Gibbs Racing and Kyle Busch, as well as Greg Biffle. So if you're a big Greg Biffle fan, he's back, and he is back in June at the Texas Motor Speedway. Next, we have the new qualifying procedures, and I'm going to go ahead and read the statement by NASCAR.com. Brad Norman at NASCAR.com writes, "Starting at Texas, any driver that does not take a lap in any of the qualifying rounds will have all previously posted times in the session disallowed, which means instead of falling back on the previous round's time, that driver would start from the race from the back. Additionally, any driver who blocks pit road at the judgment of NASCAR in a way that prohibits other drivers from exiting pit road will incur a penalty, such as disallowing that team's posted qualifying speed and or disqualifying that car from additional qualifying rounds." NASCAR Senior Vice President of Competition Scott Miller told NASCAR.com, "The inherent problem at California was obviously everybody waiting to the end and it being unorderly on the end of pit road with people blocking and playing all kinds of games. So really, we want to retake control and make order out of pit road and the way that drivers leave. We want to allow every competitor the chance to leave pit road when they want to leave and not be at the mercy of somebody else. I speculated a week ago, whenever it did happen, that this was going to be the change. And yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I figured what they were going to do is, and it's exactly what they did, that if you don't make a lap, you don't fall back on your other time, you go to the rear of the field. And if you block pit road, you go to the rear of the field, which I didn't actually think that one was going to happen. I thought they figured, they would be disallowed for that round. But no, hey, if you block pit road, you're going to the back. So, yeah, we'll see. Here's the thing about this, though. I don't think this is going to keep drivers from not playing games. I mean, granted, they have to stay in their pit box and they can't block pit road, but I just don't think this is going to keep them from, waiting it out and then going out with like 2 minutes left. Now they just have to be more cautious of it. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Maybe they do. Maybe they are on high alert and maybe they don't wait until the end. But my feeling is that, what you saw at California, you'll never see again. But I think it is possible that drivers still try to play, as they said, quote, games, which I call it strategy. But, yeah, they're going to play strategy and just be more cautious of it and make sure they get to the line in time. So we'll see, though. So that is the update on the qualifying procedure. It starts at Texas, and qualifying is today for the Cup Series, so that new rule will be put to the test. All right, time to get to the big news of the week. The 2020 NASCAR Cup Schedule, which I said had its ups and had its downs, in my opinion. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through the entire schedule and kind of just give you my opinion on what races are where. So I'm going to start here with everything is the same for the speed weeks. The Clash at Daytona is still February 9th. And the duels at Daytona are still that Thursday night, February 13th, with the Daytona 500 being on February 16th. I'm not going to read every date, by the way. It's just add 7 in your head there. So Daytona 500, February 16th. Second race of the season. These are the first 5 races of the regular season. We have the Daytona 500, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Auto Club Speedway, ISM Raceway, and Atlanta Motor Speedway. So here, I don't really see any major changes here. Obviously, they flipped the races around. Las Vegas is the second race. California's the third race. Atlanta's the 5th race. So I don't see like a huge difference in that. I mean, I guess you still are getting your West Coast swing there. You have Vegas, Auto Club, and ISM back to back to back. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it ever made a difference on which one of those races were first. So there you go. That's the first 5 races of the season. We have the 6th race through the 10th race here. Sunday, March 22nd, Homestead Miami Speedway, formerly the championship race. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Texas Motor Speedway follows that. Then we have Bristol Motor Speedway. Then we have an off week. April 12th is an off week. And then we come back Sunday, April 19th, Richmond Raceway. Richmond Raceway, a day race now. And then Talladega Super Speedway follows that. So you have Homestead, Texas, Bristol, Richmond, Talladega. So, Homestead, I guess if you take it away from the championship race, you kind of just throw it in there as the sixth race of the season. But I'm not so sure if I like that. But I felt like, if you're going to take the championship race away, at least give it kind of maybe a special date. I think maybe Homestead should be, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of feel like it's now, Homestead used to be kind of this really special race, and now it's kind of just thrown in March. So I don't know why I suppose they couldn't really put it anywhere else. I mean, they could have done it on Labor Day weekend. I don't know. But yeah, there's Homestead. Texas, its usual date pretty much. Same with Bristol. But Richmond, I got to talk about this. So, obviously, spoiler, Martinsville is now a night race. The first ever night race at Martinsville will take place next year. But I guess the compromise was, in return, Richmond had to be a day race. And I really don't understand this, to tell you the truth. I don't know if people prefer day races at Richmond than night races. I for sure know when I go to Richmond, everybody who goes to Richmond wants to see a night race. I don't know if it's better on TV to watch a day race. I don't know. But this, for me, this isn't sitting well with me. I do not like the fact that they are once again going with a Sunday afternoon race at Richmond. Just does not feel right. It's far better under the lights. Maybe the race, I suppose the race is better during the day, but, you won't understand it until you go to Richmond. I mean, you go there for the experience. You love seeing the cars under the lights, and, yeah, we are not going to be seeing that in 2020, so hopefully, as they did back in 2018, I hope they change that back to a night race, but I guess we'll have to see. And Talladega, of course, right around where that's always been, April 26th. We have May 3rd. These are the next 5 races. We have the Dover race, May 3rd. We have May 9th, Mother's Day weekend, Martinsville Speedway, Saturday night. We had the All-Star race. The All-Star race remains in Charlotte. People had speculated that it was moving. It is still at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Then following that, of course, Memorial Day weekend, Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And we have Kansas, Sunday, May 31st. Formally a night race. Listen, I don't know what their deal is by taking away these night races. Like, are they afraid of the dark or something? Like, what is going on here? Like, and I'm dead serious about this. I always thought for the longest time that night race at Kansas was like one of my favorite races. It had become one of my favorite races. I loved seeing these guys race under the lights at Kansas. That track looks awesome at night. It's usually a pretty good race. And the last few years, it's been a great race. So I do not know why they took this away and made it another day race. And I don't understand why, because the vast majority of NASCAR fans prefer night races. And I even put up a poll the other day on my Instagram story. Granted, it's only like 150 people voting for it, but the poll, it was like 130 said night races and only 20 people said day races. It's a vast majority of people who like night races more. So I don't understand why they keep taking these night races away, especially these tracks that just put in these lights. Like Kansas just got lights a few years ago. Now they're taking them out. Same with Texas. Texas got them, 2011? And then they took them out, and then they stopped doing a night race in 2014. I just do not understand why they take night races away when everybody loves them, and they just take them away. But that's my main argument there. And Hey, you know what though? Martinsville, a night race, it's awesome. I suppose the only thing they want to do here is kind of make night races special, but the reality is I think a lot more races should be under the lights because I think a lot more fans prefer going to night races than they do day races. So I really think NASCAR needs to take that in consideration for 2021, that the majority of fans, and I apologize for you day race fans out there, but the majority of fans prefer nighttime races. So anyway, we have the next 5 races here, and this is where it gets very interesting. We have June 7th. We have Michigan, June 7th. And that's usually right around where it is. Same with Sonoma, following Michigan once again. We have Chicagoland Speedway, June 21st. And then here we go, June 27th and June 28th. 2 cup races at Pocono. A back-to-back double-header day at Pocono Raceway. I don't even know what they're trying to accomplish here by doing this. I really don't. That one was like, honestly, the entire schedule. I was not surprised. I was really not surprised that they changed the championship race. I was not surprised that they moved around some races in the playoffs. I was not surprised that a race like Daytona is going to be the cutoff race for the playoffs. But this one, this change, I have no idea what their goal is here by putting 2 Pocono races on the same weekend. What if one of them gets rained out? What if the Saturday race gets rained out? What are they going to do then? We're going to have 2 cup races in a day? Did anybody think about this? More so than that, like, what about Xfinity and Truck? Are they just not going to run there anymore? We're going to have 4 races in a weekend? I mean, this is crazy. This is craziness. This is madness. And look, I would understand this if it was a track like California Speedway, or actually not California Speedway, track like Bristol or like Martinsville, and they wanted to do races back to back. I still don't think I would like it because I'm just like, all right, this really makes no sense. But like, why are they doing Pocono a 2-day weekend? Why are they doing that? Like, Pocono, it is, the racing at Pocono is a lot better than it used to be in like 08 and 09. It's a lot better than it used to be, but like, I'm not clamoring for a 2-day weekend in Pocono. And more so than not, like, what if you're a fan who only goes to both Pocono races a year, and say you live like 4 hours from the track, and so you drive 4 hours and you just go to the cup race. You just go to the cup race and you drive there and you drive back. Like, well, now you're going to have to stay the weekend. So, I don't know. Granted, I'm being very specific with that example, but I'm sure there are fans out there that only go to Pocono and they only go down for the cup race. And now what? Are they going to drive? Are they going to make the drive back after the first race, come back for the second race? What are they going to do? But anyway, so that is your Pocono change. The first ever cup doubleheader weekend. I guess they just wanted to make history with that, but there you go. So that is Pocono. And let's move on here. July 5th, July 4th weekend is now the Brickyard 400 weekend, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Sunday, July 5th. We have Kentucky the week after, a Saturday night race, I might add. They actually kept their night race. We have New Hampshire, July 29th. Then we have a 2-week vacation. So 2 weeks off. They come back August 9th to run at Michigan again. Then Watkins Glen, and Dover now has an August 23rd date. So yeah, Indianapolis is now July 4th weekend, which If you're going to move around July 4th weekend, I think no other race deserves to be there other than Indianapolis. I think only Darlington could possibly replace them. So, good move there, in my opinion. Kentucky pretty much stayed the same, everything else. Dover now getting an August race. We'll see how that goes. It's going to be very hot there. I can tell you that for one. It's going to be a very hot race in Dover. So now we get into, so now we are at, I'll go ahead and read the last playoff race. The last playoff race. So Dover is actually the next to last race before the playoffs. And the final race to get into the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup playoffs is Daytona International Speedway. August 29th, the final race to get in Saturday night. So I see their idea there, and I think it's very clever. I think they did a good job with that. That is a great way to end the regular season, in my opinion. And you know what? There is a really cool thing there. You start the season with Daytona, you end the regular season with Daytona. I think that's very, very cool. But no, NASCAR, I'm not making any suggestions. Do not make Daytona the last race of the season. Don't do that, okay? It's fine where it is. We can't have Daytona as the final race of the year. But anyway, so here is the playoffs. And I believe, let me check this real quick. I'm looking for the date of Labor Day 2020. Okay, Monday, September 7th. Okay, so Darlington is still on Labor Day weekend, despite it now being the first race of the playoffs. Darlington Raceway, Labor Day weekend, the first race of the playoffs. So drivers definitely not getting an off day because they go playoff racing Labor Day weekend. So here's your first round of the playoffs. We have Darlington, Richmond, which was added this past year, and then Bristol, now a playoff race under the lights, back-to-back Richmond-Bristol short tracks. Boy, that's going to be a busy 2 weeks for me because I go to both of those races. So I'm going to be going to Richmond and then immediately packing up and going to Bristol the next week. So it's going to be a busy week for me and anybody else who goes to both of those races. So yeah, very exciting. And Bristol is going to be a cutoff race, so that's going to be even more high stakes than the Bristol night race was previously. Second round of the playoffs, Las Vegas Motor Speedway now moving to the kickoff of the second round. It was formerly the playoff opener. We have Talladega Superspeedway still in a playoff spot. And then once again, the Roval Charlotte Motor Speedway ends the round of two. So yeah, pretty much the same there. And here we go, the round of 8. Kansas, Texas, and it ends in Martinsville. So I love that change. I love the fact they put Martinsville there. That race, the past 2 years, I think, the Martinsville October race has been the best race of those respective seasons. I guess you could argue Chicagoland last year was actually better, but in my opinion, those two races have been the best races of the years. So, in my opinion, that's perfect. And like I said, that will make that race even more high stakes and even better racing will probably come out of it. And then November 8th, the championship race will ensue at ISM Raceway. It had been speculated for a while that they were going to change the location of the championship race. And look, if you're going to do it, which in my opinion, it didn't need to be done, I think I honestly thought Homestead was a perfect place for a championship race. And, well, they have to change it. So, I think if you're going to change it, look no further than ISM Raceway. It is a unique racetrack. And I say Homestead is a perfect championship race because it really is like no other track we go to. It drives like no other track we go to. So I always thought that was the perfect track to have a championship race at. But hey, ISM Raceway, it's a lot different than any other racetrack. You have that crazy back straight. Well, actually, it's now the front straightaway, formerly the back straightaway. You have that unique start-finish line over there. And yeah, I mean, it drives like no other race. We don't come to a racetrack that's any way similar to ISM Raceway. So I mean, you can't do the championship race at like Las Vegas. My goodness, I don't know what I would do if the championship race was at Las Vegas. Just too similar of a racetrack to tracks like Kansas and Charlotte. You just can't do any mile and a half, in my opinion. Unless you're going to do like Darlington, which I wouldn't even really want that either because I think that needs its own separate day. So, yeah, you know what? I think if you're going to make a change, I would pick ISM Raceway. And so far this year, I thought ISM Raceway was the best race of the year. So, we'll see how it goes. A lot of changes, lots of shakeups. Like I said, some ups and some downs. Really, my only complaint is that there are not just a lack of night races, and I think NASCAR needs more of those, and they can do it. It's not hard, Schedule the race for Saturday. There's so many tracks that have day races when they don't need to have day races. Tracks like Kansas, tracks like Richmond, Texas, California, Las Vegas. I can go on and on. ISM Raceway, but hopefully they will make that change 2021. So there you go. I've went through the entire 2020 NASCAR schedule. And it is time to preview this upcoming weekend. It is Texas this weekend. We have triple header action on tap. Truck Series racing tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, I believe. That's what I saw when I last checked, but I believe the race starts at 9. Just a look on FS1. Kyle Busch is in the field once again, trying to make it 4 in a row in the Truck Series. Bubba Wallace is also in the field. And, yeah, so I'm surprised Kyle is running out all of his truck races here early in the year. I figured he would spread them out a little bit, but hey, you know what? Maybe he's running Dover next month too, and maybe he's trying to make it 5 in a row in the Truck Series. So I wonder if that is his goal, but we'll see. I didn't even think he was going to run Martinsville. I thought he was going to kind of wait it out. He hadn't been running that race the past few years, so I figured he's probably not going to run it, but he did, and he won, of course. But tonight, I got to go with somebody else. Because Kyle Busch, I don't want to jinx him, but usually when he goes for this 4 in a row in any top series, he's got 3 straight wins. He can't pull together for that 4 in a row. So I think tonight the win goes to Brett Moffitt. Brett Moffitt, the defending Truck Series champion, still searching for that first win of the year. I think he gets it done. He's good on the mile and a half, and he's been closing in on a win, so I believe Brett Moffitt takes the win in Texas. I think Kyle Busch will still be very close, though, probably second or third. Actually, yeah, put him third. I think Ben Rhodes gets the second place. I think he gets another second place finish. He got one last week in Martinsville, so I think he continues that consistency up. Todd Gilliland, he runs very good at Texas. Remember, he almost won a year ago until he sputtered on the last lap. I believe he was like out of fuel or something. And he lost the race to, I think it was John Hunter Nemechek. And yeah, he's got to rebound from that. I think he'll finish top 10. I think Harrison Burton finished the top 10 as well. Johnny Sauter looking to rebound from actually he did come back for a top 10 at Martinsville, but he had a lot of problems down in Martinsville, so he's looking to turn it around. He's won here multiple times at Texas. I say Sauter gets a top 10. Bubba Wallace, once again behind the wheel, like I mentioned. I think he gets a top 15 in that 22 truck. And let's see who else. Matt Crafton. I give Matt Crafton a top 5. He runs good at Texas. So, yeah, there you go. That is your truck race. I think Brett Moffitt takes the checkered flag and upsets Kyle Busch. Now move on to Xfinity here. I apologize when I'm pausing, everybody. I'm taking a sip of water. But Kyle Busch also in the field for this race, as well as Brad Keselowski, which I believe this might be his first Xfinity race of the season. I'm not definite on that, but I'm pretty sure it is. He's driving the 12 car on Saturday. And that looks to be all the major Cup drivers in the field. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see any other Cup driver names here. So I think this race, however, I think Kyle Busch, sometimes when he loses a truck race, he will rebound and come back to win the Xfinity race. And I think, unfortunately for you anti-Kyle fans, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Kyle Busch wins the Xfinity race on Saturday. I think Brad Keselowski probably gets second place. And Christopher Bell's probably going to be in the top 5, as well as Tyler Reddick. And see who else. Justin Allgaier. I think that's going to be your top 5 of some sort. But I think Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski are the top 2. And then Bell, Allgaier, and who else did I say? Oh my God. Tyler Reddick. My bad, everybody. Yeah, Tyler Reddick, Justin Allgaier, Christopher Bell. They'll make up the rest of the top 5. I say Noah Gragson gets a top 10. He's looked strong in recent weeks. And he had a good run going at California, but he had some troubles. So I think he rebounds from that. Cole Custer, he did win at Texas last year, but I think the speed of those Joe Gibbs cars, as well as Brad Keselowski's Penske Ford, I think it's going to be a little much for Cole Custer, but I think he finishes just outside the top 5. Michael Annett, we'll see if he can keep his strong runs going. He's still carrying that momentum from that Daytona win. Brandon Jones, he has had a lot of momentum to start this season. We'll see if he can carry that over as well. And also Ross Chastain. And Ross Chastain has had some great runs this year. He's in that 4 car. So watch out for them. I think they'll all finish around the top 15 if they don't have problems, as well as Justin Haley. So yeah, but I think Kyle Busch probably dominates this Texas race once again and gets his, I believe, his fourth Xfinity win of 2019. Remember, Cole Custer broke his streak a couple weeks back at California. Time to move on to Cup here. We have the Cup race on Sunday, Texas Motor Speedway. So I said last week that, I said earlier this week, it was time for Jimmy Johnson to hit the panic button. And I think, pretty sure I'm right about that. I think Jimmy Johnson really needs to dig down deep. They really need to go back, and they need to go back to the drawing board on this one. So Jimmy Johnson, as far as they go, Texas was one of his better racetracks. He has won on this new Texas track back in 2017. So I think they're not out of the ballpark yet as far as a good run at Texas, but they really need to work on something. Granted, not all the Hendrick cars are running all that great, but Chase right now is still running pretty solid, so I think Jimmy's got to try to stick with him. But hey, 24th last week at Martinsville was just not good for Jimmy Johnson. So my prediction for Texas, like I mentioned, Joe Gibbs and Team Penske have won all 6 races this year. And I think that streak does get broke this week in Texas because Kevin Harvick, who has won the past 2 straight Texas fall races, is going to break through and win this Texas spring race and get the win. I say Kevin Harvick goes to victory lane at Texas, finally gets that first win of 2019. Granted, he's not been running his dominant season like he was last year. Right now at this time, he had 3 wins in the bank already at this point. But I think Kevin Harvick, I think he wins. So we'll see what happens. And I think, though, Kyle Busch will probably still run top 5. I think Martin Truex Jr. will probably be top 10. Jimmy Johnson, I tell you what, I got to give him a top 15. I just think Jimmy is going to, I think he needs to rebound from this. I'd say around 15th, 16th position. Chase Elliott, I think he finishes top 10. Chase Elliott coming off that big second place in Martinsville, so I think he is going to have a good run as well. Watch out, though, for Bubba Wallace, because Bubba Wallace finished 8th in this race a year ago. So I think Bubba, and coming off his first top 20 this season as well, I think Bubba's going to run pretty good. I think Daniel Suarez is going to run pretty good. I think I'd look for Suarez to get in our top 10 this week. Suarez is good at Texas. And who else here? Brad Keselowski, you'll probably see him in the top 10, as well as Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. So virtually all the Joe Gibbs cars will be around the top 10. I don't know about Eric Jones and Denny Hamlin, though. They might be just outside. So, yeah, we'll see. All right, that is my prediction for Texas this weekend. I say Brett Moffitt wins the truck race. I say Kyle Busch wins the Xfinity race. And I say Kevin Harvick wins the Cup race. I don't think anything major is going to happen in either of the races. I think these will be pretty calm races all weekend long. So, except maybe the truck race. I bet the truck race be a little bit wild, but I expect the Cup and Xfinity to be fairly calm races. So, yeah, there you go. Those are my predictions, and make sure you tune in this weekend. Lots of action coming up. Make sure to follow me on my social media accounts in the description below. It's at NASCAR Images and at John Breeden9 on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter at John_R_Breeden. And yeah, that is it. That is all, everybody. Everybody have a great day.